The consortium of television networks that produces the televised leaders' debates has decided to exclude Green Party leader Elizabeth May from those two debates. In a statement, the consortium wrote today about the Green Party's exclusion. It said, the consortium approached the parties to explore the possibility of including the Green Party in all or part of the leaders' debates. However, 3 parties opposed its inclusion, and it became clear that if the Green Party were included, there would be no leaders' debates. In the interest of Canadians, the consortium has determined that it is better to broadcast the debates with the 4 major party leaders rather than not at all.
I think it really is appalling that the Media Consortium is willing at this point to rewrite the rules on what parties are allowed in the leaders' debates. The reality is, until we have fair, transparent rulemaking on this issue, democracy in this country cannot properly function.
But when you read the release, it says it's clear that if the Green Party were included, there would be no leaders' debate. So you wouldn't be in a debate anyway, and I understand your points, but the fact is there wasn't going to be any debate if you were included, so you wouldn't have been in a debate anyway, and now at least Canadians will be able to see the other 4 parties. So
come on, Don.
Is that not the right decision for the consortium?
No, listen, Don, you know, I have nothing but respect for you, but the notion that the consortium press release puts out that because 4 parties would like to block my participation, that if the debates were actually being held with me there, they would threaten to withdraw from the debate. None of them have made such a threat publicly. I challenge any one of the other federal party leaders to say right here and now if they wouldn't show up if I was in the debates. None of them have made that threat publicly. If they'd made it privately to the consortium, I think all Canadians would like to know what leader would be afraid to debate me on the public stage with the other leaders.
Will you or will you not participate in a leaders' debate if Elizabeth May is involved, as is being decided today, and why or why not?
Well, this is discussions that are going on between the parties, and I will withhold judgment on that. I'll say this: I do this. First of all, this for us. There's no strategically important question here. The Green Party does not split our vote. But I do think it's unfair in principle to have 2 Liberal candidates in the debate. Elizabeth May is not an opponent of Stéphane Dion. She is his candidate in Central Nova. And I think it would be fundamentally unfair to have 2 candidates who are essentially running on the same platform in the debate. That's my view. Look, I suspect strongly that Elizabeth May will, before the end of this campaign, endorse the Liberal Party. We will see on that.
And if other parties say that they would not participate in the debates if she's allowed in, what would you say to that?
I will say that I would like her to be there, but I will not participate if Stephen Harper is not there.
Speaking of debates, your workers back in Ottawa say that you would not have participated in the debate if Elizabeth May had been given an opportunity to participate in that debate. Can I ask you why you did that? Why you objected so strongly to Ms. May's participation in the debate?
Well, first, I'm glad that we have a decision about the debate because I very much want to debate Stephen Harper. I think he's taking the country in the wrong direction, and it looks like that debate is now going to happen. The rules have been set. They appear to be the same rules that were in place for the last debate as well. And there has not been any significant change or any material change since that time. So we accept those rules, and in we go into the debate.
This is the second time allowing Ms. May. It's the second time you haven't answered it. It's a specific question about Ms. May and whether or not you had a problem with her being in the debate, and what was that problem?
Well, look, there's been no new party elected to the House of Commons since the last election. And one of the people who wanted to participate in the debate is supporting one of the others for Prime Minister. And the networks have decided that they're going to stick with the old rules, and we support that. Had they not so decided, we would have had to go back and think about what all that means.
The rule was made saying you need an elected member. So too many times it happened to me between 1990 and 1993. I was told that the rules are the rules are the rules. So I do agree with that.
We are told by the consortium, not directly, I've received no direct communication of any type from the Media Consortium, But we are told via press release and pundits that of the 4 other major national political parties, 3 leaders objected to my inclusion. And from that, the consortium inferred that objecting to my inclusion, they might, 1 or more of them, boycott the debates. No national media consortium owns the public airwaves. They conduct decisions about the national televised leaders' debate as a public trust. It's a heavy obligation. Decisions such as what they attempted to do today are tantamount to telling Canadians, don't vote for the Green Party, they're not a real party. This is not acceptable in a modern democracy. Most Canadians, the vast majority of Canadians, will find this deeply anti-democratic, whether they plan to vote Green or not. In a modern democracy, the question of who is included in a televised leaders' debate is so important that there should be clear rules. They should be fair, they should be transparent, they should be predictable. And it does seem unfair to rewrite the rules to exclude a party that has the level of support that the Greens have across Canada.
Ms. May, when we last spoke here in my studio, you were saying, don't worry, Duff, I'll be in the debates. It's like you had a crystal ball.
I have great faith in democracy, and I have faith in the Canadian public, and the decision was manifestly unfair. And I didn't really believe that if it was public and Mr. Harper and Mr. Layton had to explain to Canadians why they would boycott the debates if I was there, that they would be able to sustain the barrage of criticism. Now, I must say I underestimated the barrage of criticism, the extent, the anger, and the beautiful opinion piece in today's Globe from former Prime Minister Joe Clark, the very strong letter from the NDP side, from Judy Rebick, also in today's Globe, the public outrage from people who've never really been involved in politics before, who saturated the call-in network airwaves and the websites, and it's just so heartening and inspiring that Canadians can't stand unfairness, and I think that bodes well for the rest of the election.
Today in the Globe and Mail, John Barber, who's their city columnist in Toronto, wrote a piece which I thought really crystallized some of the thinking around your participation in the debate. He said it's time for the NDP to fold up their tent, that the NDP are simply drawing votes away from the Liberals and allowing Tories to get elected. He pointed out Parry Sound, Muskoka, where there's 28 votes, elected the Minister of Health. Is that what we're seeing here with your party, a realignment and all of the kind of turmoil that creates?
We're seeing a realignment. It didn't start with the Greens. I think it started with the cannibalization of the Progressive Conservative Party by alliance. I think that the hard right agenda of Mr. Harper has left a lot of people who voted Tory all their lives with nowhere to go. As Mr. Clark himself says, he feels he's a political orphan. And at the same time, a lot of the people who founded the Reform and Alliance movement did so to embrace a populist politic that would respect the grassroots of their parties. So Mr. Harper's top-down autocratic style is alienating those folks. So we really do cut into the votes right across the political spectrum. We're attracting a lot of support from former Tories. We're, of course, attracting support from Liberals and NDPers as well. But the large group of Canadians for whom I have the greatest hope are those who've turned off politics altogether and don't vote. And we need to get them back engaged.
So when we look at it that way, I guess we can understand the depth of the resistance to having you on the stage, because the potential payoff for you on debate night, it's like winning a lottery.
Well, that's what Preston Manning experienced when he first was in the leaders' debates without any candidates east of Manitoba. That's what the Bloc Québécois experienced when they were first in leaders' debates without anybody, as remains to this day, outside Quebec. I think what we're seeing is that people are disenchanted with old-style politics. They're sick of the partisanship that exceeds sense, the fact that people will do anything to convince the voter that they're the only party with good ideas. I'm not going to ever say that. I know there are good ideas out there on all sides of the House, and there are decent human beings who are my friends in every single political party in this country, and I want to do politics very differently, and I think Canadians are just crying out for a fresh approach that is not disrespectful, does not mudsling, and does not allow the spin doctors to determine every word that comes out of politicians' mouth. So we'll see if I'm right and people really want to hear that new voice.